How well acquainted are you with your genealogy? How much do you know about your great-great-great-grandfather or grandmother? Do you know what they were like? Do you know any sacrifices they made? Or do they have a history of being prayer warriors or maybe otherwise? Do you know what you've been redeemed from? Genealogies are interesting and important because if we didn't have those, we wouldn't be here. How familiar are you with the genealogy of Jesus? Is that an interesting thing for you to read in the New Testament? When I was little, not having all the different versions that we have, people called them the begats, and they were pretty boring because there was no relationship. They were not relevant to every day, and so people didn't think they were important. I met a Messianic Jew or a Jewish believer in Jesus Christ at church some years back, and sharing with me, this lady told me, she said, there's so many things that you Gentile believers don't understand because it's not part of your history. And she said, for example, the genealogies, she said, if a Jew is open and reads it, she said, it testifies to who Jesus is. She said, it is a record to us that will be against us for not reading and seeing that God laid it out for us to know that Jesus was the Messiah. And I said, wow. She said, no, if a Jew is open, they don't have to read anything else. Well, you see, I can't understand that because I was grafted in. I am not a natural born Jew. I don't know if you are. So I don't understand the history and the connection. But she said the main thing is that shows the legal right of Jesus being the son of David. And she said it is the legal right of it is or was the legal right of the son to be the heir to the throne of David. So the genealogy is a legal record to testify to who he is. There has been no king of the unified kingdom of Israel and Judah since Solomon. So I was thinking, as of the making of this episode, it is 5 days before Christmas. It's the 20th of December, 2024. However, you may listen or watch anytime after this. I wanted for you to know so you could have a reference as to what we are about to do. And 5 days before the 25th, where we celebrate the birth of Christ. I am quite aware that we don't know the exact date. I'm also very aware that historians think and theologians that Jesus was probably born in September, okay? But this is when we celebrate and acknowledge that God became man, took on flesh to dwell among us, to bring the good news, as the angel said, that God is pleased with man. Why don't we spend these 5 days right when you're wrapping presents, shopping, and just as a devotional, let's unravel the genealogy of Jesus. Let's get to know a little bit more about who it is that's in his genealogy. And digging into the people who make up that genealogy. And let's gossip a little bit. God is so into us and in touch with us and wanting to have us to have a relationship with him because he knows that's where our life and connection is to him. He's the source of life. He so loves us, he knows when the more connected we are to him, the more life, the more relationship, the more peace, the more joy. We act like better people when we're in touch with him. I know I do, and I know you do too, because he's all things good. So genealogy, back to genealogy. If you would join me and we could just for these 5 days, just quickly, just kind of dive into the genealogies, prophecy, talk about a couple of people. They're roughly 17 verses. It might make up to be 15 or 16. That's not a lot. And let's find out a little bit about each of them. And it gives us hope because God loved us while we were yet sinners. And that genealogy has a history to it, legally establishing Jesus. But they're real people that had issues just like us. That gives me hope. I hope it does you too. So thank you. I wanted to let you know what I was doing. And by doing that, I'm actually going to start. And when I start, I'm going to start off by reading a prophecy. And the prophecy is this: Isaiah 7:14. Therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. God with us is what the angels told us. And then I would love to read this to you as well. All those listed above include 14 generations from Abraham to David, 14 from David to the Babylonian exile, and 14 from the Babylonian exile to the Messiah. And this history of the exiles and what was going on in that, that's in those prophets that we call the minor prophets, who are really not minor, but because their messages are short, they got the title. I've been doing a series on that. Check it out at your leisure, but get the background information to connect the whole thing. I read the ending of the genealogy just now to connect with the beginning. So here's how we will start. Abraham was the father of Isaac, and Isaac was the father of Jacob. Jacob was the father of Judah and his brothers. And that, my friends, is verse 2. And we need to stop, because where did Abraham come from? Who was he? And let's gossip a little bit. Abraham was the father of Isaac. But we know that Abraham listened to Sarah, Isaac's mother, and had Ishmael because they couldn't wait. Sarah got tired waiting for God, waiting for this promised son to come. And so she decided to help him. We know how that works out. At least I know. And I know you know, when we don't wait and we try to fix things because we don't believe he's faithful, and we lose our faith and we go and we create the biggest mess that goes on for the rest of the generations. And so there was Ishmael. And at the appointed time, Isaac came. Because God does not lie, his word doesn't go back. But Abraham took part in all of that. So there he was, sleeping with Sarah's Egyptian maid. All kinds of stuff happened. But we got Isaac, the promised child. And then it didn't stay that way. Isaac married Rebecca, and it was a beautiful love story. And the servant prayed, and this woman came. And then she struggled and she had twins. And they were not necessarily young. We always think all of this has to happen with young people. We know how old Abraham and Sarah were. So they had to say there is no way this child was born from a dead womb and just, it was gone. Okay, we'll leave that part with you in terms of the impossibility, the faith. But then he gets married to Rebecca and they have twins. And she's pregnant with 2. And there's Esau and Jacob. And the midwives tell her that even in the womb, they were fighting. Even in the womb, Jacob is holding to Esau's heel, trying to get out before him. And Jacob tricks his brother. He tricks him. But his brother is the one, Esau, who gave up again, not waiting. He gives up his birthright because of hunger, flesh, physical appetite, not discipline. He gives up his entire birthright for immediate gratification. So Jacob takes it, and that's a problem there. And he goes off And that follows him with that decision. So we just got to Jacob, the father of Judah, and we're stopping right this minute because you see, it turns out the genealogy is interesting after all. So you got to come back because we got these 5 days to talk about these folks and learn a little bit more about the genealogy of Jesus Christ. Peace to you, my friend. Come back now.